safe haven asset. Some people might say it's a safe haven asset, crypto, because crypto market value has topped $4 trillion as the stablecoin bill passed in Washington. We're going to talk about this with Nathan Dean, Bloomberg Intelligence senior policy analyst. Nathan, what is your take of the crypto week that we had in Washington? How much of this week was really a win for the industry?
So it was a tremendous win in which they were able to get one of their bills across into the president's desk, and this is the Genius Act. This is the stablecoin bill. Now, this bill only deals with stablecoins and doesn't deal with the broader crypto market structure for things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So from the crypto perspective, they got a taste of what they want. What they really want is what's called the Clarity Act. This was one of the other bills that the House of Representatives passed this week. Now, this goes to the Senate, and we are just putting out an update where we think that it's going to stagnate, and you're not going to see really much movement on the Clarity Act until next year, which is somewhat, disappointing, I think, for the crypto sector, because until the Clarity Act passes, companies like Coinbase and Robinhood, they can't move forth and have a regulatory framework. So the Genius Act was great for companies like Circle, but for the rest of the industry, there's still more time to cook.
Well, Nathan, on that legislation news, what has it done for crypto-related stocks like Coinbase or something like that?
So there was obviously positive momentum with this, and there was a lot of, I would say, sentiment and expectation. Obviously, when one of the political hiccups happened earlier this week, we saw Circle decline 8% and subsequently get that back. So, I would just say that for a lot of the crypto stocks at the moment, it's sentiment, because there's this idea that, President Trump is going to be, or at least is going to make America the crypto capital of the world, as he likes to say. But again, we just want to temper that with this idea that the Clarity Act needs additional support from Senate Democrats, including some Senate Democrats that may be a little bit hesitant to support something that benefits the president directly through his, involvement in the crypto space. So, there's a lot of sentiment growing, and there's a lot of discussion from the SEC and CFTC perspective. SEC Chairman Paul Atkins was on TV this morning just talking about what he's going to do. But this Clarity Act, this is the bill that the industry needs in order to be able to move forth and remove a lot of the uncertainty that comes with the crypto space.
What are really the key tenets of that Clarity Act, and will they be able to, I guess, stay in place if we get more Senate Democrats on board? Or is the bill going to change in a way that maybe it wouldn't be as good for the industry in order to, actually get passed?
So the bill is almost certain to change. I mean, look, it's what happens in Washington. The Senate jams the House, and the Senate just says to the House, you're going to do what we say. That's mostly what happens. But there's two tenets here that are mostly important, and that is what is a security versus what is a commodity. Now, Bitcoin is a commodity. It's deemed as the courts as a commodity. And the reason why the crypto space wants to go into the commodity space is that because the CFTC, rather than the SEC, would oversee that space. And in our view, they have less onerous regulation. The other thing is the CFTC currently does not have authority over spot markets. So there's really nobody that oversees the crypto space from a regulatory perspective outside of those that are securities, which is just a small subset. So when you're a firm like Coinbase or Robinhood and you say, I want to go forth and I want to have all these offerings related to crypto, there's really no regulations here that they can play back to. And so they're operating in almost in a gray area. And that is why there's always this risk that a future SEC chairman, similar to what we saw with Gary Gensler, could come back and say, here's a lot of enforcement actions for your trouble. So it's a lot of clarity that they want, but also that ability to feel safe and know that we can actually grow and be protected.
All right, so Nathan, we've seen Bitcoin go above 120,000, but some experts are saying the path to 150,000 looks a little more and more likely. Do you agree?
Well, I leave the commodity pricing to some of my friends.
Doesn't have the potential, yes.
Yeah, but what I will say here is a lot of it was sentiment. And we're not just seeing this in the crypto space. We're seeing this with just generally ideas of the Trump administration. Just go to deregulation in the bank stocks. There's a lot of sentiment here about what is the Trump administration going to do. But now that we've gotten past the one big beautiful bill, there's a lot of things that are going to start happening in the second half of this year. For example, this Clarity Act, if it passes, then there are going to be additional rules. And that sentiment will then actually be turned into details, and we'll be able to estimate what that does for the companies and those currencies. So I will just say is that sentiment does turn into action, and we're beginning to see the action take place in the second half of this year.
Nathan Dean, Bloomberg Intelligence senior policy analyst. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great Friday.